Good morning, dear friends. Today we have gathered again to take up a very interesting topic in microbiology, and that is staining of microorganisms. To deliver this topic, I have with me two colleagues from Surat. On my left hand side is Brijesh Shukla, and on my right hand side is Aarti Madam. Both of them, they are from Kholwad Science College, Surat, and they have taken immense pain to travel all the way to Ahmedabad. They are a very good subject expert and have a teaching experience of around 12 to 15 years. And they will be delivering about this topic, staining of microorganisms. Now, before they actually begin the topic, I would like to give you an overview of the title, The Staining of Microorganisms. Basically, staining is an auxiliary technique which is used in microscopy to enhance the contrast in microscopic image. Now, this means that the objects, either any material which is too small to be seen by a naked eye, we require the help of microscopes. And specifically in biological science, we use it for observing microorganisms and small microorganisms like protozoa, bacteria, viruses, and so on. But one point which I would like to stress here is that these microorganisms are basically colorless. And therefore, when we observe them under microscope, it is not possible to distinguish between the structures of these organisms, because cell itself under microscope appears very beautiful, a large one, but what is inside those cells, that is not clearly visible. And in order to enhance them, in order to enhance the contrast, we have to use a stain. આનો એક બહુ પ્રોમિનન્ટ એક્ઝામ્પલ હું આપું કે ફોર એક્ઝામ્પલ કે એક ગ્લાસની અંદર પાણી ભરેલું છે, આ ગ્લાસમાં પાણી છે, દૂરથી આપણે જોઈએ તો બહુ ખ્યાલ ના આવે કે પાણી છે કે નહીં એની અંદર, કારણ કે ગ્લાસનો કલર, પાણીનો કલર બંને સેમ છે અને કદાચ બેકગ્રાઉન્ડ પણ એ વખતે એવું જ હોય જેથી કરીને આપણને એનો ખ્યાલ આવે નહીં કે એની અંદર પાણી છે કે નહીં. પણ જો એ જ ગ્લાસની અંદર આપણે એક બે ટીપા સહીના નાખી દઈએ તો એ બ્લુ કલરનું પાણી થઈ જશે. આમાં કરવાનું કશું જ નથી, પણ બેઝિક આપણે એક જ વસ્તુ ધ્યાન કરી કે જે કલર હતો, જે કોન્ટ્રાસ્ટ હતો એને આપણે વધાર્યો, જેથી કરીને પાણી હવે કલર થઈ ગયું અને દેખાવા માંડ્યું. દૂરથી પણ ઇઝીલી આપણને ખબર પડે કે આમાં પાણી ભરેલું છે. તો આમાં જે સહીના ટીપા નાખ્યા એનું બેઝિક ફંક્શન શું હતું કે કોન્ટ્રાસ્ટને વધારવાનું, અને કોન્ટ્રાસ્ટ જ્યારે વધ્યો ત્યારે એ આપણને વિઝિબલ થયું. આ જ વસ્તુ સેલ્સ માટે પણ સાચી પડે છે, અને એ પ્રમાણે કે એનો જે કોન્ટ્રાસ્ટ છે, સેલ સ્ટ્રક્ચર્સ દે આર કલરલેસ, એન્ડ ટુ ઇન્ક્રીઝ ધેર કોન્ટ્રાસ્ટ ઇટ ઇઝ એસેન્શિયલ to stain them. Now, these stains basically they are the aromatic compounds, and many of them they are of biological origin. However, of late, over the last period of 50 to 100 years, synthetic stains have also been prepared. Now, to go into the brief history of staining, then when the microscope was first invented, people started, or scientists started observing microorganisms, but they had to use the stain in order to enhance the contrast and observe the intracellular structures. So they started using certain natural colored compounds, and they used it for quite a long time, unless and until the first scientist, William Perkins, he prepared a synthetic dye. Then came the era of a synthetic dye, and it led to discovery of so many dyes, synthetic dyes were invented and they were formulated in a laboratory, which were very helpful in seeing the objects of the microorganisms or the internal structure of the organisms. Now these stained structures, they were giving a beautiful image, and one can differentiate between the intracellular parts or the structures of the cells. To begin with, there were many scientists who contributed a lot into this. To name few, there were William Perkins, then Walter Fleming, Carl Weigert, and even Paul Ehrlich. Paul Ehrlich is more known for his work on a chemotherapy, but he did his basic research work, or his PhD thesis was on the staining techniques of microorganisms. And in doing so, he tried various stains, and he observed that microorganisms can be beautifully observed. And in doing this, જ્યારે આ પોતાની thesis જુદા જુદા સ્ટેઇન યુઝ કરીને કરતો હતો તૈયાર, તે વખતે એમણે જોયું કે માઇક્રોઓર્ગેનિઝમ્સ આર કિલ્ડ, ઓર્ગેનિઝમ્સ મરી જાય છે જ્યારે સ્ટેઇન વાપરીએ છીએ ત્યારે. અને એના લીધે એમને આઈડિયા આવ્યો કે આ કમ્પાઉન્ડ્સ કેમોથેરાપીમાં પણ વપરાય, ટ્રીટમેન્ટમાં પણ વાપરી શકાય. એન્ડ એઝ અ રિઝલ્ટ, ફર્સ્ટ chemotherapeutic compound tryptophan red was discovered, which was able to kill certain trypanosomes. And later on, he also discovered a substance, a bactericidal substance known as salvarsan. So staining કરતા કરતા એમણે એક chemotherapeutic compound પણ શોધ્યો, અને પછી તો he concentrated more on this chemotherapeutic compounds, and he was considered to be a father of chemotherapy. In this way, this was in brief how a staining progressed from the discovery of microorganisms, staining them, observing the intracellular structures, and so on. Now, to start with the staining topic itself, and to take you towards the details of staining procedures, staining techniques, different types of staining procedures, and those things will be explained to you in detail by my colleague Brijesh Bhai.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to say something about the development in staining procedure. Weigert and Robert Koch proposed the idea of staining bacteria. And as sir has just told, William Perkins was the first person who first time prepared one synthetic dye. Prior to that, some natural dyes were used. Now, about the concept of dyes and stain. What do you mean by dye? Dye is actually, the definition is given as given. The dye is an organic unsaturated cyclic compound, means a benzene ring, which contain both chromophore and oxochrome group. A dye, when used for biological purpose, then it is termed a stain. Now, how does it differ from, actually stain differs from dye, because it differs because stain is prepared with utmost care, because it is used for biological purpose. Now, next one, what do you mean by chromophore and oxochrome? Chromophore is the group which impart color to the dye, like azo, nitro, azoxy, thiocarbonyl, etc. Now, oxochrome. This group is capable of undergoing electrolytic dissociation and impart salt-forming property to the compound. These are few examples. Now, this is one of the best example of acidic dye, picric acid. As chromophore group, it contains nitro group attached with benzene ring, and as oxochrome group, one hydroxy group is attached. Now, if it does not contain hydroxy group, then it would not dissociate, and it will not adhere to the material to be stained. Only nitro group containing benzene structure is capable of staining the material, but not to adhere on the particular structure. So this is about the staining property. On dissociation, the picric acid is dissociated to form a negatively charged dye particle. When such type of dye part which is negatively charged, then it is termed as acidic dye. If the dye portion after dissociation releases one positively charged parts, then it is termed as basic dye. Now, aim of staining. Why it is necessary to stain microorganisms? To render microscopic semi-transparent bacteria. As sir has told, microorganisms are semi-transparent, and it is very difficult to make some contrast from the surrounding environment. So by staining we can make some contrast and can observe the microorganisms better. Second one, to reveal the size and shape of bacteria. Some organisms which possess rod shape, some are cocci. If they are in rod shape, then they would appear as a double or chain of rod shape. If they are in cocci shape, then the organisms would appear in terms of a chain or bunches. So we can distinguish between these organisms from the size. And next one, that is to study various internal and external structures which help in identification and classification. Now, types of dyes. As I have just told, basic dyes which generally dissociate to form a positively charged dye particle, that is termed as basic dye. Best example is methylene blue. Similarly, acidic dye on dissociation will release a negatively charged dye part. One of the best example is nigrosin. Next one is neutral dye. Neutral dye is a combination of acidic as well as basic dye. One of the best example is Giemsa stain. It is a combination of eosin yellow and methylene blue. And such type of stains are also termed as mix or Romanowski stain. First such type of neutral dye prepared, that was Romanowski stain, and generally used for staining in differential stain for staining of WBC. Now next one is leukodye. Leukodye are the substances when in dissolved or liquid phase applied, it is colorless, but on getting staining to any particular material, it will be oxidized and will show some color. One of the best example is methylene blue and the other one is risazurin. Now metachromatic dyes. Actually first we have to understand what do we mean by metachromatism. Metachromatism is the concept. Actually some dye like methylene blue, when applied in lower concentration, then will appear as blue, but when it is concentrated, then it will show some different color, and the concept is termed as metachromatic phenomenon. Actually some microorganisms have ability to form some special type of granules. They are polyphosphate granule, and this granule have tendency to show this metachromatism. When methylene blue is applied in diluted form to such type of polyphosphate granules, then the methylene blue will not occur as blue colored compound, but the granule will appear as purple red in color. Why this happens? Because when methylene blue is concentrated at this granular portion, then some electron path have been changed. As a result, it shifts its color absorbance. Now next one about synthetic dyes. As we have just told, Perkins was the first person who first time prepared aniline dye. Prior to that, the dyes were used in natural form, and then after some coal tar dyes are also prepared, and they are also termed as coal tar dye. Next one, that is natural dyes. Litmus is the best example. Litmus is prepared from natural source material like lichen, and it is prepared by warming lichen in some lime and soda, and then with ammonia. Now this is about the actual classification of biological stain. Biological stains are classified into 8 different groups according to the chromophore group present in it. One of the best example, that is nitro stain, acidic stain, then azo stain, basic stain, then anthraquinones, thiazole stain, quinonimine stains, phenylmethane stain, xanthan stain, and natural stain. Now this 5th group, that is particularly divided into 5 different types, that is indamine, indophenol, thiazine, the oxazine, and azines. The thiazine is the best example or best example of this one, that is methylene blue. The oxazine, which contains one central part, that is containing one oxygen and one nitrogen in between 2 benzene rings, and azines particularly contain 2 nitrogen in between 2 benzene rings. This is the example of thiazine dye, methylene blue. Methylene blue is one type of basic dye, and on dissociation it will form or release chloride Cl minus ion and retain one positively charged part. As a result, it is a basic dye and attracts some acidic portion of the organism. Now, beside this, some other type of staining are also important. That is supravital and intravital. Now, what do you mean by supravital stain? If the stain kills previously unfixed living bacteria. What do you mean by this? Before staining, we have to fix the organisms, means killing is done during fixation process. And if we stain previously not killed bacteria or unfixed bacteria, and still the dye portion, because of its toxicity, would allow the organism to die, then it is termed as supravital staining. One of the best example is Janus green. When such type of staining material is applied on some cells, and the cells are in living state and still remains alive, then it is termed as intravital stain. Such type of intravital stain, or best example is colloidal or non-toxic stain, which is used to study permeability of cell membrane. Now, staining solution. How will you prepare staining solution? Generally, staining solution is prepared in very diluted form, like 1 to 2% of dye in water or in dilute alcohol. And second one, that is for special purpose, you can prepare some concentrated form of dye. For example, 7.6% of aqueous solution of malachite green is prepared for spore staining in Bartholomew's method. Generally, alcohol itself is not used in concentrated form for dissolving dye because it is a strong decolorizer. Now, chemicals used other than stains. They are mordant as accentuators, that is intensifiers, fixatives and decolorizers. What do you mean by mordants? Mordants are the chemical agents which have of making dyes to stain material which otherwise are unstainable. Actually, what does it mean? Some dyes directly applied on some material, then it would be washed up or generally remains in dispersed form and would not adhere to the particular subject to be stained. So, when you apply such type of dye with mordant, then it would help in providing some strength to the dye and will make some precipitates which is not dissolved in water. Now, intensifiers. Intensifiers are the chemicals generally increases the intensity of stain. One of the best example is phenol. Then fixative example is acetic acid, and decolorizer, that is alcohol and acid. Alcohol is used as decolorizer in gram staining, and acid and alcohol in combination is used for endospore staining. Now, actually, what do you mean by mordant? Mordants are those substances, as we have already seen, which give some strength to the dye, and which are used, or they are mainly of two types, basic and acidic. Here is one example of basic mordant, that is cetyl pyridinium chloride, and acidic mordant, that is tannic acid. They are actually applied first or before staining, or during staining, or after staining, on the basis of which it can be categorized into three different types. Pre-mordanting. One of the example is tannic acid is applied before crystal violet application in Ringer's method for Salvold staining. Similarly, in conjunction with dye, means along with dye it is incorporated or added, that is once again tannic acid with basic fuchsin in Leibson's method for flagella staining. And post-mordanting, application of grams iodine. Generally, during gram staining, first crystal violet is applied and then grams iodine is applied. So, here it is example of post-mordanting. Now, actually this mordant combines with the dye, and the union of mordant and dye makes insoluble precipitate which are known as lacs. Now, about intensifier. Generally, intensifiers are used to increase the intensity of staining, which act by combining with dye. Mainly two types of intensifiers. One of them that is physical, example is heat, and other one that is chemical, like acetic acid, oxalic acid, KOH, aniline oil, phenol, formaldehyde, etc. One example of methanol as intensifier, different type of such type of chemicals are used as intensifier which increases the intensity of dye. Best example is acetic acid. Now, preparation for staining. How will you go for preparation of staining? That is, first to prepare the glass slide. Means first the glass slide is washed by using chromic acid, and washing is done under boiling chromic acid at least for 1 hour. Then it is washed with water and then rinsed with ethanol and then dried. And during handling, care must be taken. The finger should not touch to the surface of that slide to avoid the contamination by grease-like material. Next step, that is preparation of smear. How smear is prepared? That is generally prepared by making or spreading the culture or organism on a clean glass slide with the help of sterile nichrome wire loop under aseptic condition. Now next one, fixation. Actually, fixation is the process which is generally used to adhere the organism and to inactivate the organism, and which may help in destruction of the pathogenic organism. So one of the safety precaution is taken during fixation. Second one, during fixation sometimes heat is applicable, and which may also act as some intensifier to penetrate the dye within the structure to be stained. Generally fixation is done by physical or chemical fixative, and actually during fixation what happens, the protein material and the other constituent of cell is denatured, and because of denaturation of protein generally the structure remains the same, but it get adhered on the slide and could not be washed off during the subsequent steps of staining. Now after that fixation have been accomplished, staining the smear with the help of different staining solutions, and after staining sometimes the smear have been allowed to be dried in this in same condition without washing. For example, endospore staining and negative staining. Okay, then next one is making permanent slide. After observing the slide under microscope, the oil particle is removed by using xylene. Now about the exact mechanism of staining. They are mainly of two types, physical and chemical. In physical, generally physical reaction means that reaction occurs between two substances and no any new compound is formed. Similarly, during staining, no any newly chemical is formed. So generally the physical, according to the physical theory, staining can be explained only on the basis of capillary, osmosis, adsorption and absorption. In the other part of the understanding of mechanism of staining, chemical theory. Acidic constituent of the cell like nucleus react with basic stain, and basic constituent like cytoplasm will react with acidic stain. And according to McCullough and Clark in 1941, basic stains absorbed at pH value higher than isoelectric point. Now isoelectric point is the pH at which there is least dissociation of amphoteric compound. Acidic stain at pH value lower than isoelectric point generally absorb. Under normal condition, bacteria possess negative charge and attract positively charged particle, and if the bacteria is placed in a solution having pH lower than their isoelectric point, then they become positively charged and attracts negatively charged stain. So from these two theory we can say the complete staining procedure is neither a completely physical process nor completely chemical process, but it can be said as a combination of physico-chemical process. Now about the types of staining, I would like to request Aarti madam to discuss on the same.
Now we will talk about the application of these stains in the staining of microorganisms. First, let us see the different types of staining. The different types of staining are simple staining, negative staining, differential staining, cytological staining, microchemical staining, and special staining procedures. When we use a single stain to color the microbes, it is called the simple staining. Examples of this simple staining use the basic dyes like methylene blue and crystal violet. The main principle is of ion exchange reactions taking place between the cell surface and the stain. The bacterial cell has net negative charge because of the presence of large amounts of carboxyl groups due to the acidic amino acids. These carboxyl groups are ionized into carboxyl, negative, and hydrogen ions. These hydrogen ions are replaced by the sodium or potassium ions present on the cell surface. When we use a basic dye like methylene blue ionizes into methylene blue positive, cations, and chloride negative ions. And this methylene blue, when applied onto the slide, it replaces the sodium ions, and the sodium ions replaced by the methylene blue, and this methylene blue forms ionic bond with the cell surface or parts of the cell, and hence as a result the ionic bond is formed, which results into the staining of microorganisms. So the cells are observed colored and the background is generally colorless. The main importance of the simple staining is to study morphological characteristics, that is the shape, size, arrangement of bacterial cells. It is also used for microscopic counting of the cells and sometimes for the demonstration of anthrax bacilli. Next we see the negative staining, in which acidic stains like India ink, Congo red, eosin is used. Acidic stains also have the chromogen in the negative, and the bacterial cell also possesses a net negative charge. So there is ionic repulsion between the acidic stains and the cell surface. This does not result into staining of the cells. The cells are left colorless and the background is stained. The most important is there is least distortion of the shape and size of the organisms, because no vigorous physical or chemical processes are done on the smear, so that the exact size of the organisms and the exact shape can be observed. The second importance is difficult to stain bacteria can also be easily observed. It is also used to demonstrate spirochetes and capsules. The next most important is the differential staining. Differential staining makes visible organisms on the basis of their differences in the cells or parts of the cells. The first important of the differential staining is the Gram stain. In 1884, Hans Christian Gram observed this type of staining while working on the etiology of respiratory tract diseases. The Gram staining classifies the organisms into two types, Gram positive and Gram negative. This is on the basis of the cell wall differences, that is the physico-chemical nature and the structural differences in the cell wall that result into the staining, whether the organisms are Gram positive or Gram negative. The requirements of the staining include primary stain, crystal violet, Gram iodine, mordant, decolorizer, alcohol or acetone alcohol mixture, and counter stain, that will be safranin or dilute carbol-fuchsin. Now we see the mechanism of the Gram staining, in which firstly when we apply crystal violet, the cells, that is Gram positive and Gram negative cells, are stained purple in color. On treatment with iodine, there is a formation of crystal violet iodine complex that is retained in the cells. On application of decolorizer, that is alcohol, in the Gram positive organisms, this alcohol shrinks the pores of the peptidoglycan, that is it dehydrates the peptidoglycan so that the crystal violet iodine complex does not escape out of the cell and the cells remain purple in color. Whereas in Gram negative organisms, due to less amount of peptidoglycan and the pores are also larger, and there are large content of the lipid in the Gram negative cell wall, so that the increasing the porosity. This results into decolorization of the cells and due to the escape of the crystal violet iodine complex. Hence the Gram negative cells are stained colorless, as we can see in the slide. Then they are counter stained with safranin or dilute carbol-fuchsin. Now let us see the different examples of Gram positive bacteria. Gram positive organisms belong to Bacillus subtilis, Micrococcus luteus, Clostridium botulinum, Staphylococcus aureus, and many more. The examples of Gram negative organisms: Escherichia coli, Azotobacter species, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Serratia marcescens, Xanthomonas, Proteus vulgaris, etc. The importance of Gram staining lies in the fact that it is the first step in the identification of an unknown prokaryotic microorganism. Therefore, it is of taxonomic importance. It is of practical importance in medicine also, and it differentiates cells on chemical basis without performing any detailed procedures for the chemical characterization. The next important staining is the acid-fast staining. In 1882, Paul Ehrlich, he developed this technique while working on the tubercle bacilli, that is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. The acid-fast staining classifies the organisms into acid-fast and non-acid-fast bacteria. The acid-fast organisms contain high amount of lipid in their cell walls. The lipids belong to mycolic acid esters, mycosides, glycolipids, etc. The mechanism lying behind this is that when stained with Ziehl-Neelson's carbol-fuchsin, which is used in the acid-fast staining, along with the heat, there is a formation of the carbol-fuchsin lipid intermediates which is not leaving the cell. That is mycolic acid and carbol-fuchsin, they are tightly bound. So on decolorization with acid alcohol, the acid-fast bacteria are not decolorized, whereas the non-acid-fast organisms lose this color, and they are counterstained by malachite green or methylene blue. Hence, the organisms, that is acid-fast organisms, appear red in color, whereas the non-acid-fast organisms appear blue or green according to the counterstain used. The other methods for staining the acid-fast organisms are Gross-Cold method, Kinyon method, Oramine fluorochrome technique, etc. Now, the importance of acid-fast staining lies in the fact that it is used to identify cells that are not easily stained by gram staining, especially the Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And it is also useful in the diagnosis of diseases like tuberculosis and leprosy. Here in the slide we can observe the acid-fast bacteria. They are red in color. Next staining is the cytological staining. These type of stainings are designed to detect and demonstrate specific cell structures. The main cell structures include cell wall, capsule, flagella and the endospore. We know that the cell wall is a very rigid structure that is covering the cell, and it is the gram-positive cell wall, as we have already seen, it is made up of peptidoglycan and teichoic acid, whereas the gram-negative cell wall is consisting of peptidoglycan and lipopolysaccharides. In the Dyer's method, the use of cetylpyridinium chloride, which is having a positive charge, is staining the cetylpyridinium chloride mainly ionizes into cetylpyridinium positive and chloride negative ions. This cetylpyridinium chloride binds to the negatively charged, that is the acidic cell wall, making it positively charged, so that the acidic dyes like Congo red can be used, which will stain the cell wall. And then the cytoplasm can be stained by methylene blue like basic dyes. The other methods include method of Webb, method of Boyne and the Ringer's method. Again, the importance of cell wall staining also, it is important taxonomically and it imparts antigenicity to the bacterial cell. Another structure which makes the bacteria move is the flagella. The flagella can be stained by very special techniques because they are very thin in their thickness. To increase their thickness, mordants are also used in this type of staining method. The Leifson's method employs the use of Leifson stain, that is basic fuchsin, and mordant, which is prepared in the alcohol. On application to the smear, the alcohol evaporates, leaving behind colloidal precipitates that deposit around the flagella. Thus, the flagella are stained red in color, while the cytoplasm is stained with Loeffler's methylene blue and appears blue in color. So the flagella are stained red and the cells blue. The other methods are Bailey's method, Gray's method and Loeffler's method. The importance of flagella, it is a tool in taxonomy. It is also used in the identification of bacteria, and it possesses antigenic property, which is of great diagnostic value in medical microbiology. Here we can see the flagella, a peritrichous arrangement of the flagella on the bacterial cells, that is the flagella present all over the cells. And the other slide is of a monotrichous arrangement of the flagella. Now we see the other structure, that is the capsule. The capsule is a well-organized gelatinous layer that is surrounding the cells. The capsule protects the cell from phagocytosis. It is also a virulent factor. Due to the non-ionic nature of the capsule, it has very little affinity for the dye. Thus, on staining, the capsules remain colorless while the cells are stained. The other methods by which the capsule can be stained is Anthony's method and White's method. Some of the examples of capsulated bacteria are Streptococcus pneumoniae, Clostridium welchii, Acetobacter xylinum, Rhizobium species and Azotobacter species. Here again on the slide we can observe the different organisms, capsulated organisms which possess the capsule which is unstained. One structure that is imparting heat resistant to the cell, it is a thick-walled structure known as the endospore. While staining the endospores, the use of intensifiers is required because the spores are heat-resistant structures and they are also resistant to staining. Heat helps in widening the pores of the spores, and hence the carbol fuchsin enters into the spores and stains the cells as well as the spores. While then the nigrosin is applied. Nigrosin acts as a decolorizer and also a background stain. So nigrosin decolorizes the cytoplasm, but the spores are not decolorized, and hence the spores appear as red beads in colorless cytoplasm and a black background. Examples of endospore forming bacteria are Bacillus cereus, Bacillus subtilis, Clostridium botulinum, Sporolactobacillus and Sporosarcina. Another most important type of staining is the microchemical staining, in which there is a staining of the nuclear material, and at various stages of growth, microorganisms many a times accumulate various compounds. They are the metachromatic granules, the staining of intracellular lipids, and the staining of intracellular polysaccharides. The nuclear material staining, we know that the bacteria do not possess a very well-defined nucleus. Hence, they contain only a DNA-confined area known as the nucleoid or the chromatin body or the bacterial chromosome. While staining, there is a little difficulty in staining the nuclear material because the DNA is dispersed in the cytoplasm, as well as there is lots of RNA in the cytoplasm. So that Giemsa staining method is employing Romanowsky stain, which consists of methylene blue and eosin. This methylene and due to the acidic nature of the chromatin, it reacts with azure B of Romanowsky stain, which resulting into a purple effect. So the nuclear material is stained purple in color, whereas the cytoplasm is colorless. The different methods by which you can stain the DNA material is Fulgens technique, Robinow's method, acridine orange method. In the nuclear material staining, it is very important to hydrolyze the RNA, and so that the RNA should be selectively hydrolyzed. Next, we see the metachromatic granules. They are the intracellular polymetaphosphate in the cells. In Albert staining method, the cationic dye, that is toluidine blue, is used, which has a good affinity for the substrate, like metachromatic granules, with lower pH than the pH of the solution in which it is dissolved. Due to the high acidic nature of the granules, they are stained by acidified basic dyes. So the granules are stained with toluidine blue, whereas the cytoplasm is green in color. In the figure, we can observe the rod-shaped cells possessing bluish-black granules. Bacteria. First slide is of the bacteria. In that, we can observe these granules. They are a reserve source of phosphate and energy. In the next slide, we can observe the algae, in which there are also metachromatic granules. They serve as a reserve source of phosphorus. The other methods for staining metachromatic granules are Goher's method and Neisser's method. The importance of this lies in the diagnosis of diphtheria, because the agent of the disease, that is Corynebacterium diphtheri, shows the metachromatic granules. The examples of bacteria forming metachromatic granules belong to Lactobacillus and Colobacter vibrioides, and many more. Now we see the intracellular lipid and polysaccharide staining. The lipids are materials which are soluble in, they are not soluble in water soluble dyes, so they cannot be stained by water soluble dyes. Hence, the use of lipid soluble dyes is done in the staining of the lipid. In the Burden's method, Sudan black B is used, which is useful in staining the lipid, and the granules appear deep blue in color, as we can see in the slide, against a pink cytoplasm, because the counter stain is safranin or carbolfuchsin. Now we see the different, the other inclusion, that is polysaccharide granules. Polysaccharides again are present in the capsules, in the cell membrane, and they serve as a source of carbon and energy. The mechanism lying behind the polysaccharide staining is the polysaccharides are oxidized with periodate to form polyaldehyde, which reacts with Schiff's fuchsin to give red color. So these were the different types of staining mechanisms. Now we just look on to very special staining techniques. They are the spirochete staining by the Fontana's method. Again, the spirochetes are very delicate helical structures, so staining requires the use of chemical fixatives and mordants, so that the organisms can be can be stained properly and can be demonstrated. The other special technique is iodine staining for ova and cysts. Then the special staining again for some milk bacteria is by the Breed's method, staining of mycoplasma, staining of rickettsia, staining of fungi, and staining of protozoa. All require some special methods to be used so that they can be observed. Here we can see a slide of the spirochete staining. The spirochetes are observed brownish black in color, and some examples of spirochete bacteria are Borrelia bacillus, Treponema denticola, Treponema oralis, and Treponema macrodenticum. The references that, first of all, I would like to thank the BISAC team and Dr. I will just hand over my
Okay, now
wind up with.
we have seen that both lecturers from Surat, they explained you in depth about the various staining procedures which are commonly used in microbiology. Be it be a structural staining or be it be a spatial staining like a spirochete staining. Now, apart from uses of the stains, in staining, stains can also be used in various other aspects also. For example, in biochemistry, the stains can be used for various kinds of qualifying or quantifying the class-specific substrates like, say, for example, proteins or DNA. Barford's methods, for example, which is used for estimation of protein, uses a Comasin blue dye. Similarly, certain dyes which can only react with one particular substrate, may it be carbohydrate or a DNA or a protein, that can be used to quantify or to estimate the amount of that particular substrate in a solution. Apart from that, they are also used for various fluorescent staining techniques. It's a special kind of staining and microscopic observation. Next is the use of various stains in flow cyclometry. In flow cyclometry, it is nothing else but counting of cells. It is a method for counting of cells by using a special kinds of instruments where the cells can be marked, they can be tagged. And last but not the least, stains are also widely used for flagging certain proteins or nucleic acid in certain experiments like gel electrophoresis. So these were some of the prominent uses of stain apart from the normal or routine staining procedures. So this way, stains have found a large scale use in the microbiology as well as in biochemistry. So this ends the topic of staining of microorganisms, and we would like to have a response from any of the students. If they have any questions or doubt, they can ask us. If not, then I would like to thank the Department of Higher Education, Government of Gujarat, for providing us this stage and opportunity to reach to the students at large. And I would also like to thank on behalf of my colleagues to the crew and the members of studio who have been very helpful in taking these lectures to the students all across the country. Thank you very much.